There are some movies that inspire us, that makes us want to live life with love, guts, and effort, that makes us want to overcome the hardships of the day, and that makes us want to go forward and reach our goals in this life. But there are some other movies that make you want to take a shower or take a vacation because of how traumatizing they are. Of course, take vacations locked inside the house because you don't want to even think about step aside to see the world. And one of these movies is a recent cult classic from 2015 called Green Room, movie that was released in the first years of the production company A24. Maybe one of the few studios that still invests in medium or low budget productions, with many author directors, like in this case called Jeremy Saulnier, who recently released a great movie in Netflix called Rebel Ridge, a movie with a Jack Reacher Rambo vibe, but much more grounded. Rebel Ridge is a movie that I stumbled and I couldn't stop watching until the end, because it's a movie that plays very well with the tension of the situation and how the main protagonists are gonna escape from the traps of the villains. And searching for the director's filmography, I saw that he directed Green Room. So I went, I like Green Room. But what a traumatic experience. And this is one of those movies that you watch once and you prefer not to watch it again, because it is a very intense experience and puts you in a roller coaster of emotions, mostly fear and anger. And even though it has a satisfying resolution, it leaves you with the feeling of, wow, what a cruel world, huh? Or what a bizarre world. And there are these movies that you watch at least once a year that is an injection of adrenaline, instead of just watch the blah and cliched that we also love. So stick with me because I'm gonna talk about this movie and suggest you more 3 movies that fall in this category. So Green Room tells the story of this punk rock band that travels on the road playing in bars. And they are pretty much this road band that is very badly paid, plays in these distant, dusty, dirty bars, until they make a stop to play in a bar filled and controlled by neo-Nazis. And even though the presentation is bizarre, they are cursed by the audience. Apparently everything goes well with the job. They take the money, and once they are ready to leave, one of them enters the dressing room and sees the body of a girl that was killed by one of the neo-Nazis. And this is where everything goes from 0 to 1,000 in less than a second. The Nazis now trap the band inside the dressing room, which is the Green Room from the title, and start to negotiate very aggressively their release from there, or maybe their non-release. And like I said, the energy and the mood of this movie goes from 0 to 1,000, escalating the situation to something that the audience doesn't expect. A siege movie. In the future, I'm planning to talk about one of the greatest examples of siege movies, that is Dread from 2012. So if you like this movie or would like to see this video, subscribe to the channel right now. But siege movies is a subgenre where the plot revolves around a character or group of characters trapped in a situation, and they have to act with strategy to escape that entrapment. The top and the greatest example of siege movie is Die Hard, and I also consider Dread one of the best in this category. But here this idea is very unexpected and welcomed, because the main characters from the band are basically punks. And punks I mean in the sense of reckless kids. They're not heroes and they don't have any kind of ability to help them escape this situation. Plus, they're not the best kind of people, because in the beginning of the movie you see them stealing gas from other cars on the road to fill up the tank of their van, which makes things even more grounded with this kind of people in this scenario. And the neo-Nazis that are controlling the siege around the characters are 100% evil. There may be 1 or 2 characters there that are uncertain about following the rules of their leader. The rest don't have any molecule of redemption in their bodies. They're evil and brutal. If let loose, they would solve the situation with carnage all around, like dogs loose from the leash. And the neo-Nazis don't escalate the situation even more and create total chaos because of their leader, which is played by none other than Patrick Stewart, a very interesting and inspired choice. And I can only imagine that during the casting, the producers were thinking, okay, we need an established actor in a certain age that demands respect from the other neo-Nazis, And what bald actor we have in these two categories? Suddenly the Star Trek theme played in their minds. But Patrick Stewart's performance is really incredible here because he's an extremely contained and calm leader, different from all his other unleashed dogs. He's the guy that arrives to lead and de-escalate the situation as fast as possible, but not in the peaceful way, of course. So all the dynamics of the band trapped in the green room and the neo-Nazis outside turns into a game of negotiation that one side tries to convince the other that the situation needs to be de-escalated, building paranoia, desperation, and uncertainty if the other side can be trusted. And from the side of the band, of course, you're gonna have one guy that is gonna try to take the front to try save everybody in an aggressive way, even dominating one of the neo-Nazis in using him as a hostage. But then we have the famous arms scene, when the game turns completely. A scene that those who watched the movie know that is a very disturbing one. And it happens exactly with the main character played by Anton Yelchin, actor who unfortunately passed away 1 year after the movie's release. And he was a great actor who also was in Star Trek, the new version by J.J. Abrams, playing Chekhov. So the fact that it happens with him makes you know that nobody there is safe. That is, there's no more negotiation. From them on, or they try to escape, or they gonna be killed. And for those who didn't watch, I'm not gonna tell exactly what happens in this arms scene, but it revolves around a machete and a lot of blood. From this point of the movie on, this siege idea continues to increase around the plot, because the characters need to create strategies to leave that place, even though there are not many options. Of course, possibilities start to arise inside the geographic area of this place, and little by little they discover what exactly these neo-Nazis are hiding in there and why they are trapping them apart from the dead body that they saw. And gradually the movie shapes as a Die Hard kind of story, because there's always a moment where the trapped ones rebel against those who are trapping them, and they strike back more savagely than anybody could expect, but in a much more grounded way, and this is where this movie shines. It is a very interesting experiment in the siege subgenre. It looks like the director Jeremy Saulnier really likes this concept of what if I take Rambo or Die Hard, but make them in a much more grounded way? Minus the glamour, the grandiosity, the explosions. Let's make them dirty and raw. And this is what makes Green Room this very intense and traumatic experience. I put it in that category of, okay, I watch it once, I don't need to watch again, especially because the whole thing is already scarred in my brain. And in this category of traumatic films, there are more 3 suggestions that I would like to take the time of this video to suggest. And if you are like me that gets a little too disturbed when you watch these movies, maybe it's not a good idea to watch them. But if you also like me that if you hear anybody saying this movie has one of the most intense 15 minutes in a scene or something like that, and you watch them anyway, here you go. Let's start by an old classic from 1977 directed by Wes Craven, The Hills Have Eyes. That is about this family which is in a road trip. Oh my god, I hate road trips, honestly. But then they are attacked by this group of mutants who live in the desert. And just like in Green Room, you have some very heavy and disturbing scenes regarding things that happen to some of the characters. And the dynamics is very similar as well, because those who survive need to become as savage as the villains to fight back and escape that place. A little before, in the 70s, we also had Deliverance, and this is a very famous one. Many people know this movie, but let me suggest it anyway. It's about this group of 4 guys that are going to camp in the forest, and here we have a group of machos that are going to camp to do man stuff, you know, fish, drink beer. But then after an unexpected encounter, the whole thing changes. And it is in this movie that there is one of the most disturbing scenes of history, where we have this very intimate attack. Let's just say this. And in the same way of the other movies, the characters need to strike back in order to survive and escape. And for last, there is a movie that is pretty unknown or not many people talk about it, which is a crime, because it is my greatest suggestion of these three. One of the best movies of the last decade called Nocturnal Animals. A movie with great ensemble cast. You have Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor-Johnson. A fantastic cast to tell a very personal story filled with dramatic elements. But this movie has a very different dynamic from the other ones, having many layers of narrative. It's more about a certain kind of revenge. In about 10 or 15 minutes of movie, you have one scene that extends for about 15 minutes as well, that also has this idea of road and no way out for the characters, that upon watching it, I remember I was shaking all the way through the scene. It also left a huge scar in my movie memories. So if you like to watch a movie that has a very heavy dramatic weight in the story, you cannot miss this one. And if you decide to watch these movies, please don't blame me, because I'm just the messenger, okay? But this is it for now. Thank you if you watched the whole video. And if you are liking the content of Trashing with Gus, please don't forget to leave a like in this video and subscribe to the channel for more suggestions of movies in the future, so we can keep trashing forever. See you in the next trashing video, and bye-bye.